Hey, what is up guys, MKBHD here, and one of the new pieces of hardware we got at WWDC this year was this new iPad Pro. Now, it looks obviously really similar in pretty much every way to previous iPads, so may or may not be worth it, some minor improvements in here. So I asked on Snapchat what you guys wanted to know, and believe it or not, a lot of you actually did want to see a review of the new 10.5-inch iPad. So that's what we're doing. So I've been using it for a little more than a week now, and my previous tablet of choice for when I did use a tablet was the old 12.9-inch huge iPad Pro. This one makes it look huge, but I didn't really use it that often. I use it occasionally for watching videos and general media consumption, nothing too crazy like that. But this tablet has me using tablets again a lot more often. So this is everything you need to know about this new iPad Pro. So first of all, you've seen an iPad before. You're already familiar with the way an iPad Pro looks. All metal rectangular body, pretty exceptionally well built. You can see the antenna lines for the cellular version up top. And the 10.5-inch display is slightly bigger, but in a similar footprint to the old 9.7-inch iPad Pro. So it just has some thinner side bezels now, which I really appreciate. Overall, it's a pretty solid, but also very lightweight tablet to hold in the hand, so it's comfortable, which is good because you're gonna be holding it in your hands a lot. So what is new? Well, number one is inside is a pretty big spec bump. An iPad was already pretty powerful, but now you might have seen these new headlines that the new iPad Pro is almost as powerful as a MacBook Pro. In a way, that's kind of true. It's benchmarking really high in Geekbench thanks to the new A10X Fusion chip, which has a 12-core GPU and is very, very powerful and capable. It also bumped up to 4 gigs of RAM, and just through daily use, I haven't come across any apps or any experiences really that truly push this new iPad Pro to its limits. This thing crushes everything you throw at it, and I've played a variety of games, messed with productivity apps, and gone with them for long periods of time open, and this iPad barely breaks a sweat. It really only just gets a little bit warm, and that's it. The most impressive part is actually how many apps it keeps in memory and for how long. Like, there was more than one instance where I went back through the multitasking UI and found an app that was open yesterday and tapped to open it, and it was right there where I left off, which is pretty dope. So A10X Fusion chip is a monster, plus 4 gigs of RAM is great, and now also 64 gigs of storage is the baseline, so that's a pretty solid spec bump if you ask me. The battery is about the same. Apple claims 10 hours again. I've found that to be conservative, but pretty accurate, usually good for about 2 full days of use. Often more though, because standby time is so good. I just wish iPads had quick charging. That's one thing that I feel like they are kind of missing from the hardware. Lightning, wish it was USB-C, but not expecting it, so whatever. But these things charge kind of slow for a huge battery like this, so I wish they had quick charging. It would be a lot more convenient. And then the camera. Yes, technically the camera on the back got a big upgrade as well. It's now running the same 12 megapixel f1.8 camera system as the new iPhone 7, which doesn't mean I'd endorse using it as your main camera or anything, but it's now super overkill in the quality department for some new features it'll support, like document scanning, where it recognizes text and 3D surfaces and can scan documents into the Notes app super accurately and easily. If you want to use the camera for other things, sure, I get it. It'll be an awesome FaceTime camera. It'll take 4K videos with optical image stabilization. Like, it's an amazing camera. It's the best camera in a tablet, but you just won't see me using it anytime soon. Now, the speakers in this tablet, still pretty good. Actually great, because they're the best speakers in any tablet also. It's the quad speakers. This has them on all 4 sides. So if you're gaming or if you're watching a video or listening to music, the entire thing kind of vibrates as this echo chamber. And if you put it on a table, the table starts vibrating. It's loud, it's crisp, it's clear. Great speakers also. But the biggest upgrade and the absolute most impressive new feature of this iPad Pro is the new display. So this screen is better in every way possible. It's brighter, up to 600 nits max brightness, and it has that anti-glare coating and everything, so it's more visible in bright environments. It supports the wide P3 color gamut now, so overall it can produce more vivid, bright colors, and it's still the same high resolution as before, so 264 pixels per inch beyond 1440p resolution. But the real killer is what Apple calls ProMotion, and they didn't have to name it or whatever, but essentially the new iPad display is now capable of a refresh rate up to 120 Hertz, unlike every other Apple display on every device ever, which is going up to 60 Hertz. So the native speed of everything that's happening on the display is now 60 frames per second instead of 30 frames per second. And you can definitely tell. So even in this 30 frames per second video, which can't fully do it justice, you can see how responsive iPad is. It's literally twice as close to one-to-one movement with your finger or the stylus as it's ever been before. And it's awesome that the GPU keeps up with everything and pretty much never drops any frames, because this adds a whole layer of butter to the top top of the OS. You honestly have to go to an Apple store or like borrow someone's and try it for yourself. You have to see it to notice it, but once you do, I guarantee you'll notice it. And then ProMotion also means that it can dynamically switch the refresh rate to go back down lower when you're doing slower moving tasks, like maybe reading a book, scrolling through a web page, something slower, looking through photos. But you won't really notice because as soon as you start scrolling quickly again, or as soon as you hit that home button and start swiping, it's right back to 120 hertz. So this is awesome. I really enjoyed using it, and it did make a really big difference in my iPad usage experience. All the in-app experiences are faster, all the between-app experiences are faster, and I really hope this comes to the next iPhone. But that, in a nutshell, is the new iPad Pro. It's not necessarily any more pro of an iPad than previous ones. It still runs the same OS, still has just better specs. So it's kind of like iMac Pro versus iMac. It's just better. So it's funny, with a lot of these videos where it ends up just being a spec bump and I'm reviewing a device that's clearly a spec bump from last year, the question is usually, well, is it enough of a spec bump to justify getting it, or would you kind of fade away to the competition that's making bigger leaps forward? But it turns out with this tablet, there really isn't anything close in terms of competition. You might remember my last video about tablets, which was, are tablets dead? And the honest answer is, if it's not an iPad, it kind of is. Now don't get me wrong, there are some 2-in-1s and some convertibles, not really pure tablets, but those things are better at getting work done and better for productivity, things with actual physical keyboards and things like that. But as far as just a pure tablet goes, great battery life, really great display, best camera in any tablet, best speakers, I would say, in any tablet, arguably best build quality in any tablet, best performance in any tablet. So this thing is a really complete package. So there you have it, iPad Pro. If you don't already have an iPad, probably a good time to get one. If you do already have an iPad, know that this is a really solid spec bump, and if that's what you're looking for, then this will fill that void. That's it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys in the next one.